Hey everyone, this is Josh Galvin with Tizish.com. On this video tutorial, I'm going to show you what your sidebar is, which is this section here, and specifically what your widgets are, so that way you know what you have options of controlling in this section here, your right column here, as well as the widgets down here. Alright, so I have multiple tutorials on this section, but just the basic concept of what this is what I want to go over on this one, and then the additional tutorials are where I go over the individual widgets to explain what each and every one of them do. So first, let's go to the actual widget panel. Alright, this is, just to remind you, this is called your sidebar, and each little block is called a widget. Alright, and you'll see why. Here in your admin panel, under appearance, you have something called widgets. Go ahead and click on widgets, and that's going to load it. That's once this page loads up, it's going to bring you to this page here, and this page is basically showing you all your widgets that you have available. And then of course on the right hand side here, you see where it says your sidebar. Alright, your sidebar is exactly what I was just referring to earlier. This here is your sidebar, the content on the right. In your admin panel, you'll notice there's a lot of sidebars. Alright, first let me explain to you what each of these sidebars are. See sidebar 1. This is your main sidebar. Alright, see the widgets here: MailChimp, email, recent posts, lead generation icons. That's what you're seeing here: MailChimp, recent posts, lead generation icons. And you see categories, latest tweets. Notice categories, Twitter, latest tweets, and then YouTube. Notice YouTube is right here. So basically this is your sidebar 1 is your main sidebar that shows up on your entire blog, on all postings, all pages, and everything. Alright, now sidebar 2, this one doesn't get used on your site, so you'll never use this one. This one's going to be removed eventually, but you're never going to be using this one with your design. Alright, now the next one's footer left, footer middle right, and footer right. Those refer to your footer, which is the bottom of your page, and as you see here, footer left, footer middle right, and footer right. These are your widgets there. So you'll see if we open them up, notice how this is the categories. This says pages, this says recent posts and archives. What do we notice? Categories, recent pages, recent posts, and archives. Now your footer, you can only put one widget at a time. Okay, so your just real quick, your sidebar, you could put as many widgets as you want here. In your footer left, footer middle, footer, on all your footers, you can only put one sidebar at a time. But I'll explain to you how that's not the case on a separate video tutorial using these options found here, where it says show and hide. Actually, I'm going to show you on this one. So let me show you an example of how it goes wrong. So let's say I take this one, I put it in the footer left as well, and I hit refresh. We're going to see how it gets too big, and it breaks the theme. See how it doesn't show up right? Alright, so that's why one widget in the footer is all you can do live, meaning one live widget per page. Alright, now the other ones you have widgets in, if you have DS ID Express, you have these two sidebars that will function. Alright, if you don't have them, then basically they won't work and they're just going to be blank, so don't worry about it. But whatever, if you have DS ID Express, this is your sidebar for your individual listing details, meaning you clicked on a property called 123 Main Street. Well, this is your sidebar for that one. Now let's say you clicked on the city of San Francisco and it shows all the results for that city. Well, this is your sidebar called your IDX results pages sidebar. We set up your sidebars specifically as they should be by default, so keep that in mind, that if you have DSID Express, you probably don't want to touch these necessarily. Alright, unless you're going to add stuff to it. Don't take away what's already in there in your setup. Alright, now your final sidebar is your StealthSite sidebar. I go over this on the StealthSite video tutorial, but basically, in a nutshell, this is your StealthSite sidebar that applies only to StealthSite pages that you create. Alright, so those are all your sidebars. Let me go over the basic functionality now of widgets and how they work. So here's exactly how they work. You already saw me doing it. I just drag and drop. So basically what you do is on your left hand side here, you have all your widgets you have available, meaning these are all the widgets you could put onto your site. I go over each and every one of these widgets on set, or not each and every one of them, Actually, I do. Every one of these widgets is explained on a separate video tutorial in more detail, in quick laser focused 2-minute tutorials, 3-minute tutorials. But what I want to explain to you is the core functionality. Let's say you want to add a new widget, right? Well, what you got to do is simply go to the widget you want to add. So let's say, for example, recent posts, right? All you do is click on the widget, hold your mouse down, and drag it. Drag it to whatever position you want it to show up on. So you see here I have recent posts. I'm going to put it at the top. I'm going to call this test widget just so you could see. Now before I hit save though, notice that you have options. You have an option for your title of the widget, so I'm calling this test widget title. Just so you can see what I mean. That applies to the exact title you see here. Alright? Now, number of posts to show, depending on certain widgets you have certain options. This is talking about latest posting, so let's just say I'm going to do 10 just to make this obvious. Which means on the drop down menu, this is 5 postings. This one's going to say 10. Alright, and notice the position, by the way. I have this positioned at the top, at the first widget. See how that is going to be right up here, okay? So now after I do that, I click on save. And then here, I'm going to hit refresh. And we're going to notice we have our test widget title, we have our 10 postings, and it shows up at the top. Just like that. So now let's say you want to make it smaller, or you want to move the positioning of it. You could hit that drop down menu. Let's say we want it to be under the email sign up widget, which is MailChimp email sign up, which means we want it to be under this one. So all I did right now is I just simply grabbed this widget, and you can move whatever position you want it to be. So I want it to be under MailChimp. So now it's under MailChimp. You could tell it saves because it'll stop moving. After that, when I hit refresh, we're going to see it move positions. See, so here's our MailChimp, and now we have test widget title moved right under it. Alright, so now let's go back here. A couple other items you might want to be aware of is your text widget. What can you insert into these? And pretty much you could insert anything into your widgets. If you want the one that you want to use to insert these, and I go over all these on a separate one, just as an overview, if you want to insert anything, like let's say you have some video, you want to use the one called text widget. This is your blank widget. So let's say I put this at the top, my text widget, which means this is just anything you want it to be. This is text. And I go over on a separate video tutorial how you could put videos into here, how you could put links into here, how you could put images and all that stuff. And I go over all these widgets that show you all the different options. Definitely check those out because you have a lot of cool options for them. So I just now click save. So here's how that looks when I hit refresh now. We have our text widget, and see how the text is there. So you could also put anything you want customized that's not one of the pre-built widgets. Alright? To remove a widget, let's say you're like, okay, I don't want this widget here anymore. All you gotta do is drag this out into here. See how notice how this lights up and says deactivate my text widget? If I let go of the mouse, it's gonna deactivate it. Let's say that you have a text widget, so all I gotta do is let go of it. So let's actually get rid of this one though, recent posts. All I do is just let go of it, and it's deactivated. It's gone now. But let's say you have a text widget, or you have some kind of widget that has text that you want to save, but you don't want to necessarily have it live. Here's what you do: you take this, you drag it. Instead of putting it into here, you're gonna scroll down to where it says inactive widgets, and all you're gonna do is place your widget as an inactive widget. What that does is it doesn't delete your widget, it just saves it. So at least whatever you had in your widget is still saved, and you could just now keep it here for later usage. So let's say if you want to use it later, you could just take it back out and put it in where you need to. But if you put it up here, it's gonna delete it. See, so now it's gone. So now my widget's gone forever pretty much. So unless you recreate it. So basically that's the functioning of the widgets. I know one thing you're definitely going to want to look at is there's a tool on here that I mentioned. I go over this on a separate tutorial. There's a tool here that at the bottom of every widget it says show hide widget, which means you can have these widgets show up on specific pages if you want. Meaning, let's say you have these lead generation, or let's say you have the MailChimp, right? let's say if you're like, I want my MailChimp, which is this widget here. Let's say if you only want this widget to show up on a specific page, or maybe on specific pages, like let's say for some reason you're like, I don't want it showing up on the home page. Well, you have options, and I go over this on a separate tutorial. You have options to show or hide it. So let's say hide on checked. You just choose what pages you want to hide it on. Or if you want to show it on a specific page, you're just going to have to checkbox what pages you want to show it on. So check out that video tutorial for more details on that. Well, now that's everything you pretty much need to know for using your widgets. Now just to remind you, you control everything here on the sidebar and everything across these here. Alright, check out the other widgets so you know the full functionality of all these other ones you have here, and then also how to use text widgets to enter videos, enter images, enter links, and so forth. Alright, well that's everything. Good luck, have fun. If you have questions, go to facebook.com/Tizish, the way you see it spelled here, and ask me there. Alright, well good luck and take care.